here's the main habit that I have learned from the Olympics this year. You don't see it when you visualize. You feel it. You have probably seen Olympic athletes performing visualization and mental rehearsing, and you might not have even realized that's what they have been doing is they're waiting to compete. And the thing about visualization that everybody gets wrong is you do not need to see it in order to do visualization correctly. Done correctly, visualizing, manifesting, mentally rehearsing, you feel it. And I got this takeaway that visualization isn't about seeing, it's about feeling yourself do it from none other than the pommel horse guy. Can you guess who I'm talking about? Yep, that's right. USA's Steve Nedorosik. Everybody loves this guy. He's the guy with the brown hair and the glasses, and he's blown up on social media because on the side, as he's working off his nerves, he's solving the Rubik's Cube as a way to kind of keep himself calm. This guy's story has so much I want to unpack. There is so much you can learn from Steve, the pommel horse guy. So Steve grew up in Western Massachusetts. Worcester is the name of the town. It's probably about a 40-minute drive from our studios in downtown Boston. And he was a gymnast as a kid. But here's the thing. He had all of these issues with his eyes. He does not have depth perception. He is super sensitive to light. He has to wear glasses all the time. His eye issues are so profound. It's almost like his pupils are permanently dilated and he's not able to get a driver's license. Like, this is how much his vision is impacting kind of his day-to-day life. But that did not stop him. Okay. That did not stop Steve, the pommel horse guy. And what happened is he pursued gymnastics through like middle or, elementary school, middle school. Oakley was a gymnast, but I've spent many a weekend sitting in the tiny little spaces that parents sit in while they watch their kids do gymnastics. So Steve, our pommel horse guy, he gets to high school and realizes, I'm not going to make it as an all-around gymnast. And if you're going to make it as a gymnast, almost all the gymnasts are all-around athletes. He realized he wasn't going to get recruited to college because he wasn't good enough in the all-arounds. And so he made this critical decision, and this is a really important takeaway from Steve. He doubled down on the thing he was amazing at, and that was the pommel horse. He made it his thing, and he made that decision in high school, which led him to go to Penn State. He competed. He ends up focusing so much on the pommel horse that in 2021, he becomes the world champion in the pommel horse. And I want to pause right here because I don't think anybody wakes up and they go, I'm 3. I think I want to be the world champion at the pommel horse. And what I love about Steve and the fact that he doubled down on the pommel horse is that it just goes to show you there's a bazillion things you could do with your life. Everybody runs towards being a doctor or being in finance or doing a startup or becoming an influencer these days. You could do the pommel horse. You could build a life where your passions are about flowers. Like, there is so much more to life than the same 5 lanes that most people pursue. And so I love this reminder too, that if you enjoy it, if you're good at it, double down on it. Like, you don't need to be a generalist. Sometimes in life, being a specialist in something that you love, something that you're good at, that is the ticket. So focus, focus, focus. So I love this. And I love what he's teaching us. And I also love the fact that he seems to have a lot of fun as he's doing it. Like, at one point as he was competing, he was wearing goggles, not glasses. He has a great sense of humor. But let me get to the point about visualization and the fact that you don't have to see yourself doing it. You have to feel yourself doing it. That is the science of visualization. It's also called mental rehearsing. We're going to get into how you can do it, but I want to set the scene for this moment that happened at the Olympics with Steve. So you may have seen this. It was the men's gymnastics team final. Okay. So the whole team is there. Everybody is competing in all of the different events. You get down to the final event for the men's gymnastics team final. What event is it? It's the pommel horse. So naturally, who do you bring in? You bring in your ringer. You call Steve over. You tell him, put the Rubik's Cube down, buddy. It is time for you to hop on that pommel horse and do your thing. And his performance is going to determine whether or not the U.S. men's gymnastics team is going to earn a medal for the first time in 16 years. So stakes super high. And here's what I love. So as we are progressing toward the pommel horse event, all of a sudden there's all these photos of Steve going viral. And it's of him with his head tipped back. And you can see me on YouTube and he's just literally got his eyes closed. And people started to joke like the dude's napping. Steve is now napping. That's not what he was doing. He was visualizing. He was running himself through his routine in his mind. In fact, he said he did it about 100 times. And it's really important to understand the true science of visualization, because then after he opened up his eyes and he got out of his chair and he stood up and he was kind of in that holding area getting ready to go, there's another video that went viral where you can see him standing there and he's moving his hands and his shoulders. And what you realize is, oh my gosh, he is feeling his way through the entire routine. He's not just imagining himself doing it. He is feeling himself doing it before he actually does it. And I want to explain from a neurological standpoint what is actually happening. And this comes from research at UCLA. We have covered the science of manifestation on the Mel Robbins podcast, but you don't need to have heard that episode because I'm going to put my arm around you and explain this. Here's what's super cool. When you imagine and feel in your body doing the step by step by step by step. And in the case of Steve, our pommel horse guy, it's like one hand, other hand, this bar, that bar, leg swing, this thing. As he is feeling this in his body and moving his hands, brain scans have shown that it stimulates the same brain region as when you're actually performing the action. Closing your eyes, imagining it in your mind, and allowing you to feel the sensation in your body is you socializing your mind to take that action. And this taps into what scientists call procedural memory. Now, procedural memory is a term that describes what's happening when you take something that you're learning and then you repeat it so often that you lock it in as a habit and it becomes part of your long-term memory. I can give you some examples of things that you use procedural memory for. So if you ever pick up a pen and write something, you're using your procedural memory. You're not really thinking about writing, are you? Just like Steve does not think about being on the pommel horse. Because he has rehearsed this so many times, it is now stored in his procedural memory. Another thing that you do, if you ever poured a glass of water or opened up a door, that's all actions in your procedural memory. And the reason why procedural memory is so important is because these moves become patterns, whether it's brushing your teeth. Another thing that you do, procedural memory, walking. If you are in a wheelchair, rolling and moving in your wheelchair. That's all done through procedural memory. The connections get made between these gaps in your neurons that pass signals. And, you think that, okay, I'm just visualizing. No. You're actually encoding a pattern in your brain. And the more that you feel it in your body, the stronger the connection becomes. Why? Well, because the research from UCLA shows that the brain region that's being stimulated by this is the same one as the region that actually governs the actions that you take. Your brain doesn't know the difference. This is so cool. You can use it to your advantage. I'm going to give you 2 examples and then we're going to go back to Steve. But first, I want to teach you how you can use this in your own life. You can use the example of Steve. You can use visualization. You can take this research from UCLA. So let's just say it's always been on your bucket list to run a marathon. The way that you use manifestation, visualization, this mental rehearsing is not visualizing yourself crossing the finish line. Like if all Steve did when he was on the sidelines at the Olympic was close his eyes and think about standing on the podium, he would have completely blown the actual event. That's not what visualization is. Visualization isn't about visualizing winning. It's about visualizing doing it. The small moves that lead you to the podium. So, for example, if you were wanting to train for a marathon, you would visualize and feel in your body how awful it's going to feel to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go on a training run. That's not even the awfulest part. Imagine opening the door and it's like freaking sleeting outside. Ugh. Who wants to run then? Not me, but you do. So you're going to visualize yourself pushing yourself out the door. You're going to visualize yourself. It's a long training run. You've just hit mile 8, and guess what just happened? Oh, the battery in your earbuds just died. You don't have any music. Visualize that moment. Feel it in your body, and then feel yourself as you continue to run. That's how you can train yourself to do what you need to do. I love the Olympics. I love seeing the athletes come together from around the world. I love performance, competition. Of course, I love to win. And that's why I'm so excited to share 5 things that I've noticed and learned from the Olympics this year. These are habits of Olympians and Paralympians.